Today, employment Numberwang 2.0. Hello again, it's Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics. Well, this post covering finance and problem news with this distinctively Australian flavour. There was a TV show called That Mitchell and Webb Look, and it included many recurring sketches, including Numberwang, which is a maths quiz, in inverted commas, game show in which two contestants call out numbers until the host declares, "That's Numberwang." The rules of the game are left completely unexplained to the viewer and appear to follow no logic whatsoever, to the point that sometimes the gameplay contradicts itself. For example, a character giving an answer which is deemed wrong, immediately followed by another character giving the exact same answer which is deemed correct. Despite this, all characters on screen act as though the rules are clear and obvious. Now, I think the ABS unemployment data out today follows those same rules, because according to figures released by the ABS, the national underemployment rate increased by 0.3 percentage points to 9.5% in October 2021. The underemployment rate continued to increase in Victoria, up 1.3 percentage points to 11.3%, rose slightly in New South Wales to 10.6%, and declined in most other states and territories. Seasonally adjusted employment fell by 46,000 people, or 0.4% in October, while participation increased 0.1 percentage points. The ABS said the latest data covered the period from 26 September to the 9th of October. That included school holidays and some early changes to restrictions associated with the Delta lockdowns, particularly in New South Wales, ahead of larger changes from mid-October. As we've seen throughout the pandemic, the changes in the labour markets with lockdowns continued to have a large influence on the national figures, the ABS said. There was earlier recovery in New South Wales, with their participation rate increasing by 0.8 percentage points in October. This was underpinned by increases in both employment, 22,000, unemployment, 35,000, with their labour force increasing by around 57,000 people. However, it was still 218,000 people lower than in May. But in contrast, while Victoria's unemployment also increased by 29,000 people, employment fell by a further 50,000, with the participation rate falling by 0.4 percentage points. The Victorian labour force was 113,000 people lower than in May. And the national participation rate increased by 0.1 percentage points to 64.7% in October, but it was 1.6 percentage points below May. That was the first increase in the participation rate since June 2021, reflecting a large increase in unemployed people, 82,000 people actually, and the large increase in unemployment and the fall in employment saw the unemployment rate increase by 0.6 percentage points to 5.2% in October, around where it had been before the Delta variant outbreaks. The increases in unemployment show that people were preparing to get back to work and increasingly available and actively looking for work, particularly in New South Wales, Victoria and the ACT. This follows what we have seen towards the end of other major lockdowns, including the one in Victoria late last year. It may seem counterintuitive for unemployment to rise as conditions are about to improve. However, this shows how unusual lockdowns are compared with other economic shocks in how they limit being able to work and look for work. The relatively large increases in unemployment in these three jurisdictions resulted in large increases in their unemployment rates, rising 0.8 percentage points in New South Wales to 5.4%, 0.9 percentage points in Victoria to 5.6%, and 2.5 percentage points in the ACT to 6.6%. Unemployment also increased in Queensland, South Australia and Tasmania, but fell in Western Australia and the Northern Territory. The hours worked decreased by 0.1% in October, a slight decline from the rise in September, where it was 0.9%. This was underpinned by a further fall in hours in Victoria, down 4%, and increases in New South Wales, up 3.9%, and the ACT, up 3.1%. So, hours worked in New South Wales continue to recover. increasing by 3.9% in October, following the 2.7% rise in September. This was underpinned by increases in people working full-time hours, as well as a further recovery among people who'd been working reduced hours, though hours worked remained 7.2% below the start of the lockdown, the ABS said. In Victoria, hours worked continued to decline more than employment, 4%, compared with 1.5%. This highlights the extent to which Victorians had reduced hours or no work through October without necessarily losing their jobs. And in the ACT, hours worked increased 3.1% in October, recovering part of the large fall in September. It was 10.5%. However, the changes in hours worked partially reflects changes in the patterns of people taking leave during the school holidays. Fewer people in New South Wales, Victoria and the ACT took leave during the school holidays during the lockdown, particularly people who work full-time. This is something that we have seen throughout the pandemic, with some people working more hours than usual during holiday periods, in addition to the large number of people working less than usual. And across the 5 other states and territories, changes in hours worked range from an increase of 1% in the Northern Territory to a 1.5% fall in South Australia. And some of the combined fall in hours worked across those jurisdictions reflected more people than usual taking leave during the school holidays, in contrast to the reduced leave taken in the jurisdictions in lockdown. So what to make of all these number wangs? Well, to my mind, there are 3 points. There are people, of course, who were previously receiving government support because of the COVID support when they're no longer able to receive it. Some of those people are definitely now looking for work, although perhaps they are as yet not fully employed. And there are also more people who were on 0 hours beginning to get back into work but are not fully employed. That's why the underemployment rate moves higher. And just remember the definition that the ABS uses. If you worked an hour over the last couple of weeks, then you're not unemployed. You might be underemployed, but you're not unemployed. So I'm afraid these figures really are very muddy and muddled, which is why I prefer the Roy Morgan statistics I discussed the other day. They do at least seem to be more grounded on reality. The ABS seems to enjoy number wanging, and of course the politicians can claim that things are improving just as when unemployment is rising. Go figure. I'm Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics. Many thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.